Welcome to the temple. We begin our service singing together Hinei ma tov u'ma na'im, how good and how pleasant it is to be here together, welcoming and celebrating Shabbat. Turn now to page 172 in our prayer books to sing together Ma Tovu. We rise as we turn to page 195 for the Berlow. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, יוצר אור ובורא חושך, עושה שלום ובורא את הכל, המאיר לארץ ולדרים עליה ברחמים, ובטובו מחדש בכל יום תמיד מעשה וראשית. מה רבו מעשיך, אדוני, כולם בחוכמה עשית, מלאה הארץ קנייניך, תתברך אדוני אלוהינו, על שבח מעשה ידיך, ועל מאורי אור שעשית, יפארו הסלע. אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו מהרה לאורו. ברוך אתה אדוני, יוצר המאורות. And we read together, The world is sunlight, restoring the soul, rejoicing the heart, bringing light to the eyes, more welcome than gold, a Torah from heaven. I have no light to give the morning. My Torah, my special human gift, is words. As I bring my words forth from silence, welcome them. you who redeems the sun from darkness. Baruch Ata Adonai Yotzer Hameorot. And we turn to page 200 for the calling of the Shema. Please be seated as we read together Ve'ahavta, which is also part of our Torah portion this Shabbat. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha vehayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavcha hayom al levavecha ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם. We turn now to page 204 to sing together Mi Chamocha.
Ele,
for the Tefillah on page 205. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. Source of all being, we turn to you as did our people in ancient days. They beheld you in the heavens, they felt you in their hearts, they sought you in their lives. Their quest is ours. Help us to see the wonder of being. Give us the courage to search for truth. Teach us the path to a better life. So shall we, by our lives and our labors, bring near the world we envision, one of justice, freedom, and peace. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. And we read together, you are the open door that beckons me in. Peeking around the door frame, I begin to enter into your glory. You move me forward, O Eternal, to step beyond self-made boundaries. Lift my foot over the threshold that I might abide with you. In the house of the Eternal, I found my questions waiting to be posed. They filled me with wonder. Sit with me, Eternal Teacher. Encourage my seeking. As I fill my hours with your mitzvot, so shall I be filled. Send me through your door, stretching up to honor your name, sharing out this wonder and reaching myself in the giving. Blessed are you, Adonai, who gives life to all. Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hakol.
Lord.
To all generations we will make known your greatness, and to all eternity proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O God, shall never depart from our lips. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch ata Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. We turn now to page 216 for the prayer for shalom, for peace and wholeness and wellness. O God, may we never become complacent, faltering in our effort to build a world of peace. Let the nations know and understand that justice and right are better than dominion and conquest. May all come to see that it is not by might nor by power, but by your Spirit that life prevails. Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch ata Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. We all need courage and healing and strength in our lives, in the life of everyone that is dear to us, as we make a note in our hearts about everyone that we know that need healing and courage and strength. We turn to page 253 to sing the Mishaberach. Turn now to page 244 for Seder Kriyat HaTorah LeShabbat, the order of reading from the Torah on Shabbat. Please rise. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Our God is one, Adonai is great, holy is God's name. Please be seated. We're at the Torah portion that is called Va'etchanan. It's the second Torah portion in the book of Deuteronomy. We're going to read from the end of the Torah portion at chapter 7, beginning with verse 6. This is a very exciting Torah portion. It begins with a plea, a begging of Moses to Adonai to let him cross the Jordan and see the land of Israel in his own eyes as he is in the land of Israel. A plea and a request that God rejects. Then we have in our Torah portion the 2 tablets of covenant, which we also refer to as the 10 Commandments. We have the Shema, the calling that is probably the most well-known prayer and the most well-known call of faith that Jews use. We have a part of what we use in the prayer of Ve'ahavta, and we're going to read after all of that a response in a way to the demand of Adonai to love Adonai with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. There's a lot in this Torah portion, including 2 things that made it into the daily prayer that Jews recite twice a day, both the Shema and the Ve'ahavta, sometimes even more. There are traditions that when you go to bed, you say Shema Lamita, the calling of the Shema that you say on the bed. So that's the last thing that you would say before falling asleep, before giving up for the night and its governance, as we say in our tradition. You say the Shema and the Ve'ahavta, and then there are traditions that's the first thing that you say when you rise up in the morning. So it's kind of something that wraps us. It's also in the mezuzah. on our doorposts. It's also in the tefillin, so it's kind of something that wraps us 24/7. Having said that, that's not the part that we're going to read. We're going to read from chapter 7, one of the most astonishing and important teaching that we have in the book of Deuteronomy, something that I think explains a lot on how the Israelites, how Jews see themselves and see our tradition and our place in the world. But we'll start with the blessing before reading from the Torah. Avery, would you lead us in leading the blessing on page 250? ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים, ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
אמן. כי עם קדוש אתה לאדוני אלוהיך. בך בחר אדוני אלוהיך, להיות לו לעם סגולה מכל העמים, אשר על פני האדמה. לא מרובכם מכל העמים חשק אדוני בכם, ויבחר בכם. כי אתם המעט מכל העמים, כי מאהבת אדוני אתכם, ומשמרו את השבועה אשר נשבע לאבותיכם, הוציא אדוני אתכם ביד חזקה, ויפתחה מבית עבדים, מיד פרעה מלך מצרים. וידעת כי אדוני אלוהיך הוא האל הנאמן, הוא האלוהים, האל הנאמן, שומר הברית והחסד לאוהביו ולשומרי מצוותיו לאלף דור, ומשלם לשונאיו על פניו להעבידו, לא יאחר לשונאו על פניו ישלם לו. ושמרת את המצווה ואת החוקים ואת המשפטים אשר אנוכי מצווך היום לעשותם. For you are a people consecrated to your God Adonai. That is actually not a good translation. The Hebrew says, Ki am kadosh ata. You are a holy people. You are a sacred people to Adonai, your God. Of all the peoples on earth, your God Adonai chose you to be God's treasured people. It is not because you are the most numerous of people that Adonai grew attached to you and chose you. Again, not a great translation. The Hebrew actually says chashak, which means to desire or even to lust and not to grow attached, which sounds like a PJ-13 version of what the Hebrew said. Hopefully there are no children on the YouTube to listen to me. Indeed, you are the smallest of people, but it was because Adonai favored you and kept the oath made to your ancestors that Adonai freed you from a mighty hand and rescued you from the house of bondage, from the power of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Know therefore that only your God Adonai is God, the steadfast God, who keeps the divine covenant faithfully to the 1000th generation of those who love God and keep the divine commandments, but who instantly requites with destruction those who reject God, never slow with those who reject, but requiting them instantly. Therefore, observe faithfully the instructions, the laws, and the rules with which I charge you today. So it begins with a very clear statement. You are an Am Kadosh, a sacred people, a holy people. I want to say something about what that does it mean to be holy in the Bible. There's a holy place. We know it from Mount Sinai when the people of Israel stand there. We know it from the burning bush when God calls on Moses from the bush and says, take off your shoes because this is a sacred ground. We know it later on with the sanctuary That means that holiness, sacredness in the Bible is always connected to chosenness. That means that from all places in the world, God has chosen a piece of land and separated and kind of divided it from all other lands and said that place is holy. Because if it's not separated, then everything is holy or nothing is holy. Just like Shabbat is separated from all other days, that's what makes Shabbat special and sacred. So you are a sacred people means also that you are separate from all other nations. Why? Adonai actually makes here the connection between chosenness and sacredness, because God chose you to be the Am Segula, the treasured people of Adonai. Right now, as being an Israelite, I feel great. I belong to the sacred people, to the treasured people of Adonai. God has chose us of all peoples. There is a special connection between us and God. But immediately follow that, on the next verse, God says, but it's not because you're great. Actually, you're the smallest. You're the tiniest people that there is. But why? Because God lusted you, because God loved you, and also because God made a promise to a covenant with your ancestors. By the way, now we should ask, the next question should be, why did God make a covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? The book of Deuteronomy is going to tell me the same reason, because God fell in love with them. So there's no reason. As we all know, love is a mystery. We don't know why people feeling in love. I mean, there's all kinds of theories that I don't understand, that I read that it all has to do with chemistry, but we don't believe that. Love is a mystery. People fall in love, and there is no really good reason why people are in love. People are not going to say to you, well, maybe they do, but that's not kind of an uplifting thing. I fell in love with that person. Let me give you the accounts why, and then they have 20 reasons to convince you why that is the right person for that. That's not how it happens. The same thing here. God doesn't say, I fell in love with the people of Israel because of their character, because I knew that they will have the highest number of Nobel Prize winners, or because of all that. No, actually, no good reason. You're the smallest of all people. You're the least of all people. There's a beautiful midrash, a commentary, a Talmudic commentary to this section. And the midrash goes like that. Adonai first went to the people of Edom and said to them, would you accept my Torah? And they asked, what's in it? So Adonai gives them mitzvah, and they say, we're not interested. So then Adonai goes to Ammon and says to Ammon, would you accept my Torah and have a covenant with me? And they say, what's in your Torah? And Adonai gives another example, and they say, no, thank you, we're not interested. And there's a list like of 30 nations that Adonai goes and knocks on their doors. And then Adonai goes to Israel and says, would you accept my Torah? And the people of Israel answer, according to the Midrash, of course we will. Whatever you say, we're going to do. First, we're promising to do, and only then we need to know what's in the Torah. Now, you could look at it as a great Midrash complimenting the people. It is a great Midrash, but you could look at it as a great compliment for the people of Israel. We were the only one, not only willing and eager to accept the Torah, we didn't even put conditions. We didn't ask, so tell me what's in it. We want to see the bride before we enter into the covenant. We don't want to buy something that is covered. We want the details. No, we trusted God and we accepted. But you could look also at the other side of the story. Why are we God's chosen people? Because God had no other choice. Everybody else rejected Adonai. Now, both Deuteronomy and this Midrash in the Talmud was written by Israelites. And you have to ask yourself, what kind of a message are we sending to ourselves? And what I think is so wonderful about this message, First of all, it's a contradicting message. We are a sacred people, we are God's treasured people, we are a chosen people, but at the same time, we are the least, we're not the greatest, we're the least, we're the smallest, we're there. Just as the Midrash says, we are God's chosen people, God has a covenant with us, of all the people God has chosen us, we are God's treasured people, but why? Because nobody else wanted to be in that relationship with God. So, Judaism sends you these mixed messages of what is actually our relationship with Adonai, our God. Now, the bottom line is the same, that what it says here in the beginning. God has chosen us, God has made us a holy nation, God has made us God's treasured possession. But at the same time, it comes with a very strong warning. Don't think that God that gives you any privileges, and actually the text says it only comes with obligations. Let's say the blessing after reading from the Torah. Please, Avery, lead us.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Please rise. Let's see if you do it better.
V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael. Avi Adonai b'yad Moshe, b'yad Moshe. Avi Adonai b'yad Moshe, b'yad Moshe. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael.
And we turn to page 283 for the Aleinu. Please join me as we read together. Let us adore the ever-living God and render praise unto you, who spreads out the heavens and established the earth, whose glory is revealed in the heavens above, and whose greatness is manifest throughout the world. You are our God, there is none else. We continue together on the top of page 287. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding. Loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech. May we never lift up our hand, but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, freedom, and peace.
It has been said Adonai will be
Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. On this Shabbat, we remember especially Joshua Fink, Raymond Allen Sr., Dr. Stanley Frager, Bessie Netter, Lynn Gadi, Charles Golding, Selma Kaplan, Harold Kramer, Martin Liebman, Daniel Renko, Jacob Rosenfeld, Leonard Rosenthal, Eleanor Baker, Priscilla Diamond, Fred Herman, Alex Hertzman, Paul Sondheim, Edna Yarmuth, Brik Zlata, Harry L. Davis, Anatoly Tarakonova, Isabella Atlas, Leonard Dickman, Miles Friedman, Janita Bloom Jacobs, Joe Bass, Norman Friedberg, Maurice Levy, Sol M., Perlmutter. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. And with the blessed memories from our loved ones in our hearts, we rise as we turn to page 294 for the Mourner's Kaddish. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעולמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהא שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. זיכרונם לברכה, may the memory of our loved ones come to be a blessing and a benediction to us all. Amen. Our closing song is Oseh Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Please say Shabbat Shalom to someone you never met before, and also to those you have met before. Shabbat Shalom.